talking with Jenny Bond, author of The Hummingbird and the Sea, and this is Jenny's first ever author video. You're going to see a number of these to talk through the books that she's releasing, and today she's talking about the first one. Jenny, you've got there The Hummingbird and the Sea, a paperback copy. Mm-hmm. I can see it's got a fancy stripe across it. What's that?
Oh, it's not very fancy. It says not for resale. This is a proof copy. So the paperback is in the works, but these are just the proof copies, and the paperbacks will be available later in October.
Well, that's pretty exciting. Now, I've seen how passionate you are about this book over the last few years. Mm-hmm. What is it that you love about it? Why are you so passionate about it?
It was a story. I came across quite a while ago now, probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and I got so invested in the characters, their struggles, and their loves that it totally consumed me. So once I finished The Hummingbird and the Sea, I quickly moved on to books 2 and 3 in the series.
So where did the idea for the book actually come from?
The idea for the book came from a research trip I took to Washington DC, but I was actually researching another book at the time. But my son, who was 7, was obsessed with pirates, and we walked past the National Geographic Museum, and they were having an exhibition it was called The Real Pirates, and Sam went absolutely nuts, and we had to go in straight away and see this exhibition. And the exhibition was based on the pirate Samuel Bellamy. So
what attracted you to the character of Samuel Bellamy?
Well, I had never heard of him. He wasn't a Blackbeard or a Jack Rackham. He was this unknown pirate, but in terms of plunder, he was the wealthiest and most successful pirate of his time. Yet he was only at work, so to speak, for 9 months.
So Samuel Bellamy was a real character. Mm-hmm. What other characters in the book actually existed?
There's Samuel, of course. There's the man he set sail with, Palgrave Williams, although there is some dispute about his name. Then there was the girl he left behind, Maria Hallett. And then there's more well-known pirates that you would have heard of, such as Blackbeard and Benjamin Hornigold.
How long did it actually take between going to the exhibition and finishing the novel? How long did it take to put the idea together and to write the book?
Quite a while, actually. I knew nothing about pirates. I knew nothing about real pirates. I knew the Errol Flynn kind, the swashbuckling kind, and I knew the Jack Sparrow kind, but I didn't know what a real pirate was. So I took probably 12 months to research the novel, and then I began writing. After that, it was lots of drafts. The book probably went through about 11 or 12 drafts, and then through the editing process, which took probably another 12 months. And that was when the book was finally finished. Well, I was happy. I was happy with it.
So what changed along the way? Did anything change about the story from your first idea?
Well, yeah, because I realised that it couldn't just be a story about real pirates. It needed something more, and that's what during the research process I found out that Samuel Bellamy actually went to sea because he was trying to raise enough money to be respected and worthy of this girl Maria Hallett, who he had met, but her father wouldn't bless their relationship because he was so poor. So he went off to sea to gain riches, so he'd be worthy of her. So I realised that the story was going to have to be a dual narrative about Bellamy's adventures at sea, but also what was going on with Maria back in Cape Cod, back at home.
Did you love anything about the time? You've gone on to write 2 more books so far, and I know you're working on a 4th set in this period that follow on from this story. There must have been something you quite loved about the time for you to spend so much time in it yourself.
Well, it was the time I'd never researched before. I'm passionate about American history and always have been, but those early days in the American colonies, the early 1700s, was a time I didn't know very much about at all. So the research was fascinating. The role of women in that time I found particularly fascinating, because Puritans are seen as very a male-dominated culture, a male-dominated society, but women actually held quite a lot of power, and I think that's why they were feared, and if they actually gained too much power, they were branded a witch. But they were actually very they ran businesses, they helped with their husbands' businesses. They're actually seen as very important members of society, not only by society but by the church as well.
So, for people who are thinking of reading this book, or who've just bought it, or who are reading this book, what do you hope they get from it?
Well, I hope they see that men. What I love about history and writing historical fiction is every time period I research, I discover that men and women are exactly the same now as they were then. They may not have had iPhones and technology, but their basic needs, their basic desires were exactly the same. They wanted love and a family and the freedom to live the way they wanted to live, and that hasn't changed.
Fantastic. Well, Jenny, thank you so much for talking us through The Hummingbird and the Sea.
My pleasure.
That paperback copy you've got, where can we get that from?
That will be available at the from October 25 via Amazon and the other platforms.
Thank you very much.